in this case to the victims. But there was intent to drive at an egregious speed, 102 miles an hour, regardless of the consequences and regardless of who that ended up harming. And then the second part of that, the second component, is the harm caused. And in this case, it's just impossible to have greater harm than the harm that occurred in this case, which was the loss of a mother, loss of a baby, and really the loss of a family as it existed when this occurred. And the court doesn't find that either the minimum or the maximum is appropriate in this case. I've said it several times, the serious nature of the offense, egregious nature of the conduct, and mostly the harm that's been caused prevent me from putting this as a bottom of the guidelines minimum case. But the departure bases argued by the defendant did provide some reason not to put it at the top of the maximum. And specifically, the court did take into account that the defendant's 18, certainly responsible for his actions, and he's being held accountable for his actions. But the age of 18, the court finds, is a mitigating factor and shouldn't put this at a maximum. Also, the complete lack of prior criminal history is something that the court considered as preventing this from being at the top. So having said all that, the court is going really toward the middle between the minimum under the guidelines and the maximum punishment permitted under Florida state law. So on count one, vehicular homicide, the court's going to adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to 9 years in the Florida State Prison. On count two, same charge, the court will adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to 15 years Florida State Prison, and that'll run consecutive to count one for a total of 24 years Florida State Prison. Count three is a misdemeanor, unlawful racing on a highway, so the court will adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to time served. Give credit for time served, I believe, 2 days. Court will impose mandatory court costs. Mr. Herron, you have given up the right to appeal the determination of your guilt or innocence. You do have 30 days to appeal the sentence of the court. And I'll direct the bailiffs to take Mr. Herron into custody.